What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another Goku Runner Talks podcast, and this is a live one. So this is episode 21. It's after the Houston Marathon. We're gonna talk about that. We'll talk about some bit of my injury, and we're just talk about me. Like, if you have any questions or anything you want to ask me in the comment section, go to the comments and ask away. I'll be on there and I'll ask your questions live here on the 21st episode of the Goku Runner Talks podcast. Let's go. All right, so this is the live Goku Runner Talks podcast. I'm just gonna make sure real quick, make sure everything's working. It looks like everything is, except I want my microphone to come out of this thing, this microphone. Right now, coming off of the computer, which is not the greatest. I want it coming off of my nice mic I bought. So there we go. All right, now it's better. All right. All right, had someone interrupt me. Had told them make sure nobody interrupts. So let's go on with the chat right here. So the question of the day that I'm going to ask everybody first off is, if you did the Houston Marathon, what was your race? How did it go? How did you do? If it was the Houston Marathon, I know there was a Louisiana Marathon. I know there was also the Austin Half Marathon or International Half Marathon. They had that one too. So let me know in the comments how your race went. And again, ask questions away. I will answer them back in this 21st episode of the Goku Talks podcast. And let's go ahead and talk about that. So this is the 21st episode. Podcast is going strong. I started this podcast because the Houston Marathon actually wanted me to interview some people from the Houston Marathon, all the balloon people, because, the reason why I got on as an ambassador for the Houston Marathon was because of the content I created. And, it put me in front of the Houston Marathon, and they saw my stuff, and they asked me to apply to become ambassador, which pretty much said, if you apply, they didn't say this directly, so it pretty much meant to me is, if I apply, I will become a Houston Marathon ambassador. So that's what happened. I applied, became a Houston Marathon ambassador, and then I make lots of content. They see that I am strong at doing video work, and they told me that they wanted me to interview the balloon people or have some kind of content relating to the balloon people on my channel. And I've been wanting to start a podcast, so that's why I did start this podcast 21 weeks ago, since I haven't missed a week yet. And now we're here, 21st episode of the Goku Talks podcast. So I've been enjoying it, to talk to lots of people, talking to people from the Houston Marathon for sure. Some people have not been as glowy and uppy and happy to be on the podcast, and some people really have been great guests. So it's just a mixture of everything. Like I would say 99% of people have been great guests. Even the person that wasn't super happy to be there, she was also a good guest. She had some good stories once I broke into her. Like, you had to, or that person, I won't say who it is, but we did get through that. And I'm excited to do more podcasts here if you guys are willing to listen. And some people do listen, some people don't. I think this is a process where you do have to keep on going every week. If I do every, twice a week, 3 times a week, or 3 times a month, twice a month, or once a month, I feel like your podcast isn't going to grow. So why even have a podcast at all? But I've seen some popular podcasts that have been doing just that, and they grow too. But I want you guys to have a video or a podcast to listen to on Spotify every week, on Monday, so that you guys can listen to them. And this is one that you guys can listen to. So right now, the question is that, how did your marathon go? How did your weekend go? So my weekend, the Houston Marathon weekend, that's the next topic. The Houston Marathon weekend was different than I thought it was going to be. Like many of you, start training, and even if I started training late, I was getting into the swing of things. Some people start the training a little bit later, and I definitely did that too. I was like, I better start training for the Houston so I could get ready to pace some people, because I was going to pace a few people to do a sub 6 marathon, or even if I wasn't going to pace people, even if nobody showed up, which there was going to be a couple of people that was going to run with me. I wanted to be out there for the people in order to make sure I could do it myself. So I could like pick up people like I did last year. Last year I picked up 2 runners that were struggling. They were scared of the balloon people. This was like at mile 14, 15. And I said, you stick with me and I'll get you there. And they stuck with me. And we got them there for the most part. The girl that followed me, she said she wanted to take it easy because we did build up a lead on the balloon people for the Houston Marathon. So we were going to finish before them, but it doesn't matter if you finish before the balloon people, you have to finish before 6 hours. So if you finish after 6 hours, you'll have a time like the first 10 minutes after your race. But after that, if it's after 6 hours, it'll say did not finish. So you will get a DNF for that race. You'll still get a medal and everything else, but you won't get an official finisher's time that can go into your legacy. Legacy for the Houston Marathon is 10 marathons. So if you run 10 marathons, I think it's either or 10 marathons, 10 halves, you can get legacy status, which gives you some perks. You get your own custom bib, you get bathrooms, you get like special things that the Houston Marathon does, which is pretty cool. And also my friend Tony, he did 30 marathons. Tony Morales, he did 30 Houston marathons. I think 131 marathons for him, which is freaking amazing. Tony's an awesome guy. If you haven't watched the video where he did the Rocky Raccoon 100, definitely should watch that. But Tony did 30 Houston marathons, and after 30 marathons, you get all your races free for the marathon, for the Houston Marathon. So moving forward, Tony Morales can run as many races as he wants for the Houston Marathon after 30 marathons. So I was like, 30 marathons times, let's just say the average was $200. So that's that's what, $6,000 that he spent on the races the past 30 years. So that's pretty cool. But my Houston Marathon, like I said, going into it, I was excited to train up, and I was doing well. I was getting I actually got like 220 milers in because I was training for a 100 miler as well at Rocky Raccoon, and I was picking up my mileage, getting my weekly mileage in, and then I hurt myself. I was walking down some steps, slipped on some chanclas, slippers, and or flip flops, whatever you want to call them, and I twisted my ankle bad, broke a tibia, the lower part of my tibia, and I was down and out. So that took away, the marathon for sure, the 100 miler, maybe we'll talk about that later. But I feel like I wasn't going to be able to do it initially, and then a week or two move forward, I was able to walk. I didn't have to use my crutches to get around, and I felt good. So leading up to the marathon, I was like, maybe I won't be able to do the marathon, but I might be able to sign up for the half marathon. And that's what my thinking was during the whole weekend. So the Houston Marathon went. I did a bunch of stuff with the Houston Marathon ambassadors. And if you guys want to become ambassadors, I know they're opening that in a couple of months. Let me know if you guys want to be a part of the team. We would love to have you guys. But did a bunch of stuff. I actually they asked me to be a part of the YouTube live for Houston Marathon, which was a cool experience because I got to talk to and see the elites before they raced. If you guys know the story that happened this past weekend with the Houston Half Marathon, Connor and I forget the guy. I don't know. I don't follow the pros very much, but I know Connor tied with the other guy who finished first place, like sub 1 hour, 59 minutes, and Connor got second place. But it was cool to be able to ask them the questions before they ran. Like at the press conference, the media was asking some questions. The guy on stage asking some questions. He was the anchor for Channel 13, I think. And then they went, okay, so let's go to the YouTube live questions. And I was manning it, and I got to ask them the questions personally, which was pretty cool. You see that on my YouTube channel. Let's go to the comments. There's some comments right now. Mike Neera says, great seeing you out there yesterday, man. Yeah, man, nice seeing you too. I hope I saw you, and I hope you hit the power block. Bruce Boy says, "What did I miss? You didn't miss. You didn't miss too much. You didn't miss too much. I'm doing a YouTube live. YouTube live. I'm doing a Goku Runner Talks podcast live. So I'll actually have a Goku Runner Talks live tomorrow as well. We'll talk more about that. But I'll pretty much go through a lot of things in this podcast. So let's continue to my Houston Marathon story. I was, I was the person in front of the the runners for the race, and I got to ask them some questions, so that was cool. After we did that, the Houston Marathon, actually they put me up in a hotel for Friday from Thursday to Friday, and I went back home for a day. Came back on Saturday to do the race. So I did the 5K, and my thinking was, if I could do the 5K on Saturday, the marathon, half marathons on Sunday, is that I could run walk the half marathon at least. So I did do the 5K, and I'll release the video in a little bit after I edit it, but it felt good. It didn't hurt too much. It did hurt a little bit after I pushed it when I shouldn't. Like at the beginning, you definitely have to run a little bit just to get out of people's way. So I ran there, and I felt pain, but I would say like a 1 or 2 pain after the race. Not too much, but that was enough pain for me to say to myself, Jeremy, it's not worth it to go out and do the Houston half marathon, despite being there all weekend, being a Houston Marathon ambassador, doing all the things, going to the expo, seeing all that. I decided it was better judgment for me not to do the race, and I would just go out there and cheer everybody on. So that's basically what I did. I went out and I cheered all the runners out for. I cheered out all the runners for the Houston full marathon and half marathon. So if you guys haven't seen some of my stuff on Instagram, I sewed my own little Mario power block that I made, and I put it on a rope. That was the second version. The first version of that power block, man, I didn't realize how much people would freaking try to break it. Like they really wanted to break it. So when I first made it, I had a little bit more flimsier material, and people would punch the crap out of this thing. I'm like, bro, first of all, it's Super Mario, so you're supposed to hit it up. You're not supposed to tetherball slam it to the ground. And some people did that, which was funny to me, and I probably could get a lawsuit on myself too, because they would punch it forward, not thinking about physics, and then the freaking power block would go right into their face. It's like, hello, don't punch it so hard forward, or else it's going to hit your face. And also, if you punch it so hard, there's a pole above you that you're punching downwards. The pole's going to hit you in your head, which happened to one person. I was like, oh my gosh, that's my worst fear, like hurting somebody with a freaking pole. So when I had that pole, people would try to literally like knock it out of the park, do a home run, or like knock the crap out. Like they're trying to punch out on Mike Tyson. It was so crazy. They were trying to kill that thing. So the first year I made it, which was like 2 or 3 years ago, that thing got beat up. I kept on having to tape it up and mask it up and duct tape it up, do everything. This year, or actually this is one I made maybe 2 years ago, maybe a year ago. I made this one for the Austin Marathon, and this one held up well. Like I made it out of t-shirt material. I sewed it very tight, so small length between the sew whatever thingies. Anyway, it was stretchy. Had a stretchy rope attached to it, so it worked out well, and people loved it. I'm telling you, when I say people loved hitting the Super Mario block, they were all excited. They would go out of their way to hit the power block. Like it was pretty ridiculous. I was watching the half marathon, and then I went over to the other side. I was watching the half full start, and I went to the finish line area. But the finish line, the fulls are in the chute by themselves on the right side. The halves are on the other side. So you're supposed to stay on your side. You're supposed to stay on your half side, fulls on this side. But some of the half marathons will go all the way to where I was on the gate, and they would hit it and then go back to their area. This is at the end of the race. I have had to worry about people cramping. Like I noticed, like the marathoners, they would cramp if they try to jump too high to hit the power block. One guy did that during the Houston Marathon a couple years ago, and he fell to the ground. I was like, oh my goodness, I might get sued for for that too. So it was very crazy. I remember I also brought it out to the Ironman, which these guys are like anything you do to them, you could like the wind could blow the wrong way and they'll cramp. And I brought it out for a little bit, and after like 2 or 3 people jumped up and cramped hitting my power block, I said I'm not bringing it out anymore for the Ironman because those guys. Those guys are working too hard, and they don't have enough nutrients inside of them. So that was fun. But uh, if you guys watched the Houston half marathon, you saw the story where Connor and the other guy who got first place was finishing. That was a as close to a camera finish, whatever they call that. That was crazy how close to finishing there was. How close they were together when they finished. I think Connor was trying to pass the guy in front of him, but the guy strategically kind of nudged over to the right and blocked Connor from taking that first place because he was coming in hot, but that guy he made a smart racing decision to strategically block him. So really cool. Houston Marathon ambassadors. We did our thing. We took pictures over at the start line. We got our jackets. And it was a great time, being a Houston Marathon ambassador, talking to many people and getting to know all of them closely. It's sad that some of them are going to be going away. For the Houston Marathon ambassadors, it's only a 3-year limit. So after the third year, they leave. Like Rowe is leaving, Jacoby he's gone. Who else? I think I'm gonna be missing. I think Rebecca is also a 3rd-year Houston Marathon ambassador, and she's no longer there as well. So yeah, it was great, and I enjoyed it. The whole time I was holding that Mario block. I had my arm out. My arm would get sore. My wrist will get sore because you had to hold it basically tight, or else it's going to drop. So I held it long. I enjoyed. I don't care about the pain. It was just great to see everybody out there doing their thing and racing. And I always tell people, if you haven't ran a marathon or you want to get some motivation to run a marathon, go watch a marathon. And I saw people with bloody nipples out there. I saw people, struggling to come in to the finish. They're cramping too. They're trying to make it, and some of those people still hit the power block. So that's always a good thing. So what else? So yeah, that's it for that. The We Are Houston 5K. I did that. I told you guys how I did, but I just walked it. I did get some interviews for some people. I did meet this couple. They were doing their first 5K ever. Like in her history, her family history, her dad, her uncle, her mom, they all ran Houston, and they're like a 7-star finishers. So she wanted to do her first 5K. She chose the We Are Houston 5K to do it at. And I heard her story and then her boyfriend's story too. And it kind of reminded me about how when I started running and how I, kind of loved it, but that was after the first 5K. Because the first 5K I did, I hated running even after. I hated running during it, and I hated running after as well, because people are always like, "Oh man, you do a 5K, you'll love it." And some people do it and they hate it. Like me, I hated it. I ran a 5K, and I wore some shoes that were like lawn mowing shoes, and they would tear apart on me as I ran that 5K, walk, to the point where I was running on like almost nothing on the bottom. The foam on the bottom was deteriorating, and then there was a guy in crutches passing me. It was so painful. All I wanted to do after the 5K was sit down and rest. And I remember saying to myself, I'd never do a 5K again. But I did do one, and then the 5K was a little better the second time. A little bit more training. I think that's the secret to running is actually training to do a goal instead of just pushing yourself to do something that you don't want to do. So if you have a goal, set it out there and then train for it and then run it. And then you'll have a better time overall, because if you're suffering, no one's having a good time. There is a comment. So let's go to that. Mike Naira says, will you be doing the Houston Marathon next year? Yes, I will. God willing. Hopefully I don't trip on any stupid sandals again, because I want to do it. as a Houston Marathon ambassador, basically the only perk you do get some perks. You get a free race, so I can do the 5K, I can do the marathon for free. The Houston Marathon will give you complimentary entries for that. You'll get a couple of hats, you'll get a jacket, and you'll get you'll get a chance to meet a lot of cool people. And so basically the main benefit that you get, monetary or whatever, is going to be the free races. So I will be doing the Houston Marathon next year. I'm going to sign up for that whenever they allow me to do that. And I'm excited. You guys should sign up too. So right now, it is the cheapest you can sign up for the Houston Marathon right now. I remember, when was it? Maybe 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. 3 years ago, 2022. I was running the Houston Marathon untrained, and I was having the worst time possible because I was on the struggle bus. If you guys know the struggle bus, you're just doing the dead man's walk. You're trying to push yourself forward. I was doing that, and the last like 4 or 5 miles of the race, they had speakers that play music, which is cool. Like, music is cool. I love music because I don't typically run with music during a marathon because I like to talk to people, for the videos and also just to chat with people otherwise. But they had music, but every once in a while, like I want to say after every song, they would play a Houston Marathon ad that would say, "The Houston Marathon, sign up early. After the race, you can sign up for the Houston Marathon next year. It's at its cheapest price." And when you are at the end of your marathon, like 5 miles to go, you don't want to hear an ad for the race that you hate so much at that moment. So I remember hearing that guy talk about signing up for the Houston Marathon during the Houston Marathon. Like, I get the point that they're trying to market to you during the race, but I don't think the last 5 miles of the race is the time to market to somebody because some people may not be liking it, and I definitely wasn't. So yeah. Hey, Mike, let me know if you're still here. How did you do during the race? It's right there. It says, "How did you do on your race this weekend?" So, Mike, let me know how you did in the comments. So, what else did I have to talk about? Yeah, Houston Marathon. I cheered on everybody, and uh, good times, man. I had so much. It's very tiring to cheer on your people. I feel like, going out there and cheering your heart out the whole time, because I was yelling a good amount of the time, telling people they look good, all that fun stuff. I was telling people during the end when there was like maybe point one to go. I was like, "This is where you run with your heart." I said, this is what you train for. Give it your all. Rest at the finish line, telling them stuff like that, because whenever you're out there running and struggling, especially that last half mile, that last quarter mile, even or less, that's what you want to hear. You don't want to hear too much negativity. You want to hear all positivity. And I know even if people are angry and looking at you like they don't want to hear it, they probably do want to hear it still. So I love cheering everybody out at the Houston Marathon. And if you're injured like me, and uh, you can't run, it's better to do it. And I think this was a smart decision for me not to run, because I wanted to, like, I could have ran the half marathon, because afterwards I thought, initially I thought that if you ran the half, because I talked to all the balloon people on my podcast, the actual balloon people that did the half marathon, balloon people, or the turtle pacers, as they call them, the back of the pack, the sweepers. They said that if you're running the half marathon, you have to keep a 13:44 pace for the first 7 miles, and after the split, you can slow down to 24 miles, 24-minute miles. So my thought process was like, okay, I don't know if I can keep the 13:44. That would definitely mean I would have to walk it, because I can't do a 13:44 walking. I could do a 13:44 if I run walk for sure. So if I knew that they didn't have to do a 13:44 for the first 7 miles, and they had to keep an 18-minute pace for the whole race, I definitely would have probably done the half marathon, because I saw them after the race, the turtle people, and they were like, "Yeah, we just had to do 18-minute paces the whole time. We did not have to go 13:44 for the first 7 miles." I was like, "Oh man, I wish I would have known that beforehand, although, because I would have signed up. and done the race because man, going to the Houston Marathon, the expo, picking up your bib and everything, lots of fear of missing out going on. Like I was like, I think I'm gonna do it. And at one point in my head, I was like, you know, I probably could do the marathon, but you know, I think it's actually better and smarter for me that I didn't do it because even though I could have done it, there's also a good chance that I could have hurt myself worse. Like I'm already not 100%. I probably say I'm like at 85%. Like I could run a little bit. I could walk pretty good, but I am not fully healed. I definitely feel the injury there still. And I actually saw the doctor because he's one of my friends at the Houston Marathon beforehand, and I was like, I joked to him. I was like, I'm gonna do the half marathon. He's like, Jeremy, no. So it's good to have doctor friends that will tell you, what's up. Say, don't be stupid, don't do it. So I was happy to run it. And this weather for this year, I felt like I would have thrived. I don't know personally because I wasn't out there. I was out there cheering for a long time in the cold weather for 4+ hours, 4 or 5 hours, and it was cold, but I felt like it wasn't too cold. I know the wind was bad, and I talked to some people. They said the wind was bad for a lot of the race, but I don't know how bad it was. But I feel like I would have thrived. I'm a big dude. I love cold weather, and running in cold weather, I felt like I would have done really well if I was 100% out there. I could have done I could have had a good time out there. Comments here. Mike Nera says, this was my first half. I did 207, even though my left knee wasn't having it. That's awesome. Good job. Good job. 207, that's a great time. Sub 2 next. That's the fun part about doing your first races. All those PRs you get after each race. Somebody was asking me, he said he just PR'd at the Houston Marathon and he wanted to do another race. I forget where it was, but I think it was like in April. Yeah, I think it was in April, and he was like, "Should I do the marathon there?" It's in Brooklyn. He says he wanted to do the marathon there or drop down to the half. I was like, might as well do the marathon. In my mind, I know probably some people do like only one marathon a year, but back in my day when I was younger, I would run all the time. Yeah, yeah. Mike did the half marathon. He's saying that the first half marathon. Yeah, but that's awesome. But that guy, I said, you should do the marathon because whenever I was running a lot, like I've done a ton of marathons, probably 30 plus. I don't even know. I need to count them. But I would do a race like once a month or maybe four or five marathons a year. I was part of Team Chocolate Milk as well, so I got free races there. But it was always a fun time to do marathons, and especially if you're trained. And that's how I gained my fitness, by doing lots of races, by doing that. Bruce Wayne says the reason I'm not going to run a marathon is fear of hitting the wall or worse, rhabdomyolysis. Yeah. I mean, hydrate, train well. Don't do it in like harder than hell habanero 100 races like that, and don't push yourself too hard. uh you know I think marathons is the true test of your training. Like a half marathon, and I talked to a lot of people, they feel the same way. Half marathon, you could get away with not training so much and do it and not feel so horrible afterwards. Like you'll be able to do a half marathon no problem, right? Which a lot of people can't say that, but if you're a runner, that's usually the case, right? Half marathon, not so bad. But the marathon is a race that if you don't train for it, then you will suffer the consequences, especially if you're, and actually just anything, any way that you're doing it. If you're trying to push yourself, if you're trying to go slow, if you're not training to do that distance, 26 miles, uh, you're going to suffer. And I talked to a few people, and they're like, we're not doing the marathon anymore because it hurts too much. Like you can't do anything afterwards. After I left my brothers in Houston and came back home here, they fell asleep for the rest of the day for sure. They did not move one inch off their bed after that race, which I know that's the best thing. They do say you should move around a little bit after your race so you're not so sore, but they definitely didn't do that. So, so he was asking. So Bruce Wayne, Mike Nier, full or half? Mike was answering him. Bruce Wayne says, "I hope to PR at the Publix half." So yeah, so Publix half. I think he was telling me that's the one. That one is in March, which is going to be a tough one for me to do if I ever do that one. But yeah, more races, the funner time out there for sure. So I do want to ask myself a few questions. So if you guys watched the Goku Runner Talks podcast, I asked the people who are on it a few questions. And the first one I always ask people is burgers or pizza? Which would I rather have like after a race? Sorry. And for me, what I would like is a burger. I like a good burger. In fact, after the marathon, if you went to Shake Shack, brought your bib or brought your medal, they would give you a free burger with like a purchase of a drink. I think that's what it was. But yeah, a good juicy burger is what I want. Not a burger from like McDonald's, although the quarter pounder is pretty legit over there. I want me a good juicy burger with fries, nice Dr. Pepper. That is my ultimate drink. The next question I usually ask people is half marathon or full marathon. You know what? I would probably stick with the full marathon. There's just something about doing that distance each time that I do it, it really is you feel it's an accomplishment because it is so hard. A marathon is so hard. Just going that distance. If you're going slow, you're taking 6 hours plus. You know the time limit, so that's a long time on your feet. If you're going fast, you know you're pushing yourself for 26 miles. That's a long time to push yourself that hard that long. So people do it. There are some comments. Let's see what the comments are saying before I get to my next thing. Henry Wong says, "Good morning. Good morning. Back at you, Henry." Bruce Wayne says, "I have poor impulse control. I would probably end up doing something stupid and have injured myself." Yep, some people do that. I know a lot of people like to push themselves too hard. You know, that's why I don't do CrossFit. CrossFit is something that I've done before, and I push myself hard each and every time, trying to compete with everybody, trying to go faster, trying to go as fast as I can. The last time I really pushed myself hard was when we were at the running event over in Austin. We were doing a relay race, and I was the first leg. When my brother's like, "Do the first leg. You have your 360 camera. You could show everybody what's going on." And man, and I tell you, I almost fainted at the end of that thing. I pushed myself because there was a large crowd around you, and I knew the other teams were all going to be crazy fast, and I was the last person, finishing up my leg, so far behind everybody else. I was trying to push myself as hard as possible, but that's the last time I did that, and yeah, it was tough. It was tough. Another question that I ask people. What is another question I ask people? I actually have them all over here. All over here. I have a little notebook that I write. So I do a little research on people. I said, oh, this one's a good one. Roads or trails? So I think right now I'm leaning more towards roads. So, you know, I'm supposed to do Rocky Raccoon, and I guess we'll talk about that. Rocky Raccoon 100K. I could either move it to next year, I could give it away to somebody else, or I could run it. I could drop down probably to the 100K. And you know, I'm feeling pretty good right now. That race is in another 12 days. So who knows? I might just go out there do Rocky Raccoon, and if I'm not feeling it, the 100K, it gives me 12 more days for my leg to rest. It gives my bones 12 more days to heal. Hopefully, I'll be feeling good. I feel like I should be able to run at that point. You know, that will be pretty much the 31st will pretty much be 5 weeks since my injury, maybe 4 weeks. But we'll see. We will see. I always have these thoughts of grandeur whenever I am there's a race, especially for a race that I paid for. Now, the Rocky Raccoon is a race I paid for myself. That was expensive, $250, I think. Close, maybe, yeah, I think about $250 for that race, maybe more. But I don't like wasting money. So we'll see. Maybe I'll just go out there, do what I can, and call it a day. We'll see. We will see. But definitely trails are what I am looking forward to now. Roads is what I'm looking forward to. Being an ambassador, seeing races right after the Houston Marathon. I'm enjoying the trails, and I do want to get faster. Ultra marathons make me slow. I'm already a slow person, so getting back to the roads is where I want to go. After this, especially after injury, there's nothing like injury to give you as much motivation as you ever need to want to go run a race again. Bruce Wayne says, I used to do CrossFit and never tried competing against each other. Well, see? So I feel like if you do CrossFit, you never competed or never tried to compete each other or never wanted or want to do that. Why would running be different for you? So I feel like, a marathon, it's such a long race. And my brother, my oldest brother, he was running probably like a 335, 340 pace for his first 14 miles for his marathon, and he knew he had thought he also has thoughts of graduate. So maybe you're like my brother, where even though you can't push that pace for that long, you feel like you can, so you're going to try. So he tried to do that pace for as long as he can, and then mile 15, 16, 17, 18, he started walking. So it's all about that. Thoughts on the One Punch Man workout? I think the One Punch Man workout is 100 push-ups, 100 something else, 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 something else. Let me go look it up. One Punch Man workout. So here it is. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and 10K every single day. Woo! Dude, I just came back. If I after I come back from injury, I might do that one day. I'm not gonna do that every day. I wouldn't do a challenge of me doing it every day. I might do one day, and we'll see. We'll see how that goes. 100 One Punch Man workout. 100 push-ups. That doesn't seem too hard. I could do that. 100 sit-ups. My abs are pretty weak, so I probably will cramp. 100 squats. Not too bad. Not too bad. 10K run every single day. So the only problem with me, if I did it every day, I could see the 10K would be tough because of those 100 squats. Because I don't do squats very much. So if you don't do a workout very much, you're probably going to suffer. Like your legs are going to get super sore. Yeah. Let me get into my training after I get healed and cured out of this little ankle injury, and then we'll talk about doing One Punch Man challenge, maybe for 7 days or something like that. So definitely won't do for 30 days. The one challenge that I am doing and I'm doing consistently is the cold plunge challenge, and I've been enjoying that. One more question is going to be, here's a good one: back of the pack or front of the pack? I would love to be a front of the pack. I would love to be a super fast guy. I think that's where I think that's where my channel. And I told lots of people that I feel like that's where my channel needs to go in order for me to grow. That's a good storyline. Me going from the back of the pack to going to the front of the pack for sure. So hopefully you will see that this year. Goku Runner getting faster and faster and better and stronger and everything else. So Bruce Wayne says one thing. He says, I think I would be safer to replace the 10K run with a 10K row. I do have a rowing machine. I haven't used it too much, but yeah, 10K. I can do 10K a run and 10K a row, either or. I always got a rowing machine, but it hurt my hips, and I think that might have been to my gout. So I'll pull out the rowing machine and do some of that. And I do need to do a cold plunge today, even though it's cold in Texas right now. It might snow, so you might see some snowing stuff. I'm gonna charge my drone, have some fun with that and all that. So, yep, 40 minutes. This is Goku Runner Talks podcast, 40 minutes long. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Thanks for joining me. Tomorrow is another Goku Runner Talks live podcast. Live. This is Goku Runner Talks live. Sorry, it's not gonna be. It won't be as long as this one, but you definitely can ask me some questions over there. I'll be back tomorrow, probably around this time too, because everything's closed over here in Texas because it's going to snow. It's going to be icy. It's going to be everything. So join me tomorrow as long as I have electricity. Good luck to everybody and stay warm. See you guys next one. Peace.